Okay, I just need to finish these slides. So similar to the drug test, medical exam also need to be conducted only after the organization make an offer or offer jobs to the candidate. So after that, then the organization can require the candidates to sit for medical exam or to test to take a medical exam to determine whether an applicant is physically or mentally able to do the job. So the job offer needs to be given first before the organization require candidate to take some medical exams to determine whether they can perform the job physically, mentally able to perform the job. So moving on to trainings, training is part of the HR functions. There are many types of training. Four generic skill categories of training. So basic skill, technical skill, problem solving skill, and interpersonal skills. These are four generic skills. And in addition to these four generics, we also have civility trainings and ethics training. So basic skill, many employers believe that high school graduates lacks a basic skill in reading, comprehensions, writing, and mathematics. So for the positions that require maybe lower level of education, such as high school, or in Malaysia we call it STPM or SPM or diploma holders. So for those positions who just need high school, for example, certificates, some because according to maybe because of the perceptions also and because of the research, employer believe that high school graduates lacks of basic skill in terms of readings, writings, and so on. So sometimes performing the job for a long time, work can become more sophisticated. So the need for this basic skill has grown significantly. So leading to a gap between what's the employer's demand for skill and the available skill in the workforce. That means the basic skill of the candidates with the skill that the organizations demand from the candidates. So there's a huge gap. It is a worldwide problems from the most. It happens also around the world. It's not only happens in the underdeveloped countries or underdeveloped economies or in the developing economies. Also happen in the developed countries. Anywhere in the world, this kind of the unmatched between the skill that the organization demands with the skills that the candidates have, for example, in terms of basic skill. So organizations find that they must provide basic reading and mathematics skill for the employees. So because of the huge gap between the employees' demand of the skill and what the candidate have, so the employees thinks that it is safe or it is good for them if they could provide some basic trainings, basic reading and mathematical skills to the organization, to the employees or to the candidate, instead of just rely on the school or the candidates kind of basic knowledge that they learn themselves. So technical skills, still technical training, technical, when we talk about skill, we talk about skill related to performing the job that's need performing the jobs, especially regarding the specialized skills. So technical skill related to the how to operate the jobs or how related to performing the job sometimes need technical skills. So it's important for new technology, new structure design of the jobs as organization flatten their structure. In previous chapter we talk about the organizations, normally organics and mechanistics. Organic normally are flattened type of organization. Mechanistics is a more taller or more bureaucratic. So many organizations nowadays are moving toward organics. That means the structures of the organization become flat. So organization flatten the structure nowadays, so they expand the use of teams. So when they have many teams, that means they don't have many managers. Some teams they do not have the leaders, they do not have the managers. So when there's no longer more managers, the organization become flat. Because if the organization have more managers, then the organizations become taller style of the organization. If the organization rely more on the team, then the organizations become flat. So because of the expanding of their use of teams, the organization will also become flat because they break down traditional departments barrier. So there's no longer barriers in terms of departments. Teams they work in the teams. No department to segregate them means no longer have more departments. Maybe they just have less kind of traditional departments. So employees also need to master a wider variety of tasks, and this also increase the knowledge of how the organization operates. So because of this, the organization become more flatter, become flat compared to mechanistic style of organizations. So a company, for example, like Tata and Wipro provide their new hires with up to 3 months trainings on knowledge to perform the technical work demanded. Because the use of the teams where there's no longer managers, there's no longer leaders, so the employees are in the team, or the team members are more responsible for their performance. So they're fully responsible for their performance, and the organizations empower them with the authority, with the autonomy to perform the jobs. So they have to know some technical skills in order to be able to perform the job effectively and efficiently. So the organization sometimes provide technical trainings, training in terms of technical skill, so that the employees can perform the job effectively without having managers. So that's the importance of technical skills. Problem solving skill are also important. The organization provide problem solving trainings, especially for managers and also employees. This problem solving training can include activities to sharpen their logic, because when we talk about problem solving, we talk about how they apply their logic, their reasoning to solve the problem. So it is important to provide some trainings to employees, to the manager, on how to deal with the problems that may face by themselves, or with the other employees, or with the customer, and so on. So skills to improve their abilities. So the organization's problem solving skills skill related to activities to improve their abilities to assess causations, develop and analyze alternative, and select solutions. So we already talked in previous chapters regarding problem solving process and steps. So one of the process in problem solving is to develop and analyze the alternative and find the best solutions of the alternatives. So this kind of problem solving skills in terms of step-by-step process and so on also be given to their employees and also managers in order to perform the job, especially regarding the jobs or tasks involving supervision, such as managers, leaders, those kind of rank and level. Interpersonal skills, because almost all employees belong to a work unit where their work performance depend on their ability to interact with the co-workers and bosses. So they need to know how to deal when interacts with the co-workers, with the other co-workers, and with the managers. So having good interpersonal skill can avoid conflicts, can avoid some problems, especially if they have to interact, or they have to work in the team, or work as a family, or as a unit, work unit. It is important to have interpersonal skills. Civility trainings is regarding to basically behave like a good individual employees. Civil kind of behavior. So as human resource manager have become more aware of the effect of social behavior in the workplace, they have paid attention to incivility. That's mean problem in the organization can be because of a problem related to work behavior of their employees in terms of civility kind of behavior, bullying, abusive kind of work counterproductive work behavior and so on. So HR provide trainings, civility trainings to reduce this kind of problem in civility, bullying, abusive supervisions. For example, some supervisor kind of abuse their employees, can bully their employees, pressure, give more pressure to to their employees or to their subordinate to perform the job, for example. So this kind of incivility need to be avoided, need to be prevented. So human resource may have civility trainings to impart knowledge regarding the consequences of having incivility kind of behavior in the organizations. So this training, incivility training, could minimize incivility by using training target to building more civility and a more campaigning and encouraging on having civility kind of workplace. Actually is a good things to avoid problem at workplace regarding this kind of behaviors. Ethics training is considered very important because nowadays people willing to people can be ethical, unethical, can do many other unethical activities just for their personal interest. So by having this ethic training could make employees or managers aware of the problem in terms of unethical problem and the consequences of having unethical behavior in the workplace. So in the many US workers receive ethic trainings not only in US, in many other company around the world also have ethics training. They even have ethics officer in the organizations to look after the unethical activities that's going on among employees or in the organizations. So question, can ethics be taught? Yes, it can be taught, especially through example. So here, critics argue that ethics are based on values because I mentioned in the previous chapter that values lead to behavior or values lead to actions. So good values lead to good behavior. So ethics normally, because ethics we are talking about right or wrong, good or bad. So something good, something right is considered ethical. Something wrong, something not bad is considered unethical. So ethics are based on values. Values normally are ethical, and value system are fixed at the early age. That means we learn about values when we are when we are at a young age. And it says here ethics cannot be formally taught. Of course, it can be formally taught, but it's kind of difficult to formally teach others regarding ethics. It need to be given awareness, then it is more effective. So ethics cannot be formally taught. Yeah, it cannot be formally taught. I mean, it cannot be formally forced on people. It can be through law and enforcements, but it's kind of very difficult to formally talk about ethics on people, but must be learned by example. So learn by example is more effective because people aware about ethics, what kind of ethical behavior and so on. So supporter says that values can be learned, but that training is helpful for recognizing ethical dilemmas and ethical issues. So as as a kind of human behavior with kind of normal human behavior, we sometimes could differentiate. We most of the time could differentiate between ethical behavior and unethical behavior. Only in certain things that we face some dilemmas. So, however, when we learn for example, in the organizations, they have very clear cuts of what's ethical, what's unethical. However, training can actually helpful to reduce some of the ethical dilemmas that or regarding the ethical issue that been experienced by many of the employees. So moving to training methods,